thought, where is it good to sit? In front and see where someone's going to kill me, or in the back that no one would know I'm there.
We had to sit over our hands. It's like your hand is tied and you can't do whatever all your life they teach you to do it, but now you can't.
Such a tough day. Hi, I'm Dovie Maisel, Vice President of Operations for United Hatzalah, Israel's largest volunteer EMS organization.
And I'm Elad Bachar, the head of the medical division.
And welcome back to Masters of Emergency and our very special mini-series of October 7th. Trying to unfold the minute-by-minute most challenging day, I think, of my life. And if going back to our previous discussions here, the question of where were you on 9/11? We're replacing that one with where were you on October 7th? And for this 7th episode of our day, we're now at 9:04 p.m. in the evening, and I have the privilege of having a friend of many, many years, 25 years, I think, a very esteemed paramedic, Sivan Mashiach, a very, very special hero of October 7th. I know, Sivan, I know you're not comfortable being here. You're not comfortable being in front of cameras, period. But I think you have such a special story to share of your part on October 7th. So without further ado, introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll take it from there.
So I'm Sivan Mashiach. I'm a paramedic for almost 24 years. Since I was a soldier. I live in Elad. I'm married to Yuval. I have 5 beautiful kids. I laugh because they're beautiful, but also...
But challenging.
Very challenging. Very challenging. And in daily, I'm a physical therapist, a rehabilitation one. And I'm volunteering in United Hatzalah for the last 8 years almost.
Unbelievable. Wow, yeah. We go back in EMS to the ambulances 24 years ago, 25 years ago, before you went into the army even.
I was a volunteer before.
A volunteer in Jerusalem. A lot of history, a lot of terror attacks, a lot of living in Israel and the world of EMS. And today... as we're taking this day one step at a time, me, Elad, and myself were here at headquarters, and we were, overseeing what was going on, and helping make the decisions and call the shots. And you were down there for a good part of the day and night. And just like we started with every one of our guests that we had throughout this day, is I'm going to take you back to 6:28 in the morning. Where we all thought life was still normal, and before the world changed, as I say.
I relate to that sentence.
So, take it away. Where were you? Where did 6:20 in the morning, Chag, Shabbat in the morning, Simchat Torah, where did it catch you?
So actually, I was still asleep. My husband woke me up at 6:30. He told me he thinks something odd is going on. As a woman, I don't like it when he was right, but he was right. And a short while after, I started receiving phone calls from Avi Marcus and from United Hatzalah Dispatch, asking me at first to be like a phone call helper for EMS teams in the field.
We had Dr. Gensler here in the previous episode.
Yeah, I started receiving phone calls like, what am I going to do, what I need to do here and that. And at 11 o'clock, I received another phone call, and I was asked if I can go down south with an ambulance because there were a lot of casualties and not enough medical teams.
There was one phone call that you remember and you want to talk about before
it was one big one. David Bader called me.
Oh.
David Bader, I don't know his exact role at that day, but he is
Hero.
definitely hero. But he lives in Elad with me, and we're in the same how do you say it?
Neighborhood.
Team.
Yes,
Neighborhood, yeah.
the same team in
Same
Elad.
team.
And he phoned me and he told me less like that, Sivan, there is a big attack on the south. Can you go down? It was obvious. The answer is yes. I looked at my husband, he looked at me. We knew it's going to be a yes. I changed my clothes. After all, I was in a Shabbat clothes. And we went down south. At the beginning, we tried to recruit more medics. And we called on the rugger who want to join us to go south. I was sure we're going to have to pick up from everyone because everyone would like to come. But there was this silence in the rugger. And
The rugger is the radio.
Yeah, the radio. And then we said it again, and silence. And on the third time, one of the EMS of us, Avitan, he answered and he said, I'm going to join you. And we picked him up from the synagogue, wrapped in his talit, and he changed his clothes, and we went down south together. What
was your first stop?
First stop was a flat tire. And I actually forgot it. When you try to remember again and again in that day, at some point I remembered we had a flat tire and we went into a gas station and the gasser went inside and locked the yellow station. We needed water or something and they didn't answer. We changed the flat tire, but you started to see that is...
Where was it? At the south or at
No, a little bit before, Tzomet Cheletz, but you started to see that you're going towards one direction and everyone is going to the other direction.
Like Gensler and I said.
And suddenly you are like alone in the road and you're continuing to go.
And missiles above you.
Yes. And the first stop, Tzomet Cheletz.
That's a cheletz. For those joining us in this episode, it was the staging area, the triage area that we created just 5 minutes north of Sderot,
Exactly.
which was a field where we prepared a landing pad there for the helicopters, created a triage, opened up tents there, because thousands of people were fleeing from the south, and this was their channel up north. The only road that could actually go up north to evacuate from there out to hospitals, and that's where we treated hundreds and hundreds of people.
First stop after the police barrier.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
that was the police barrier, which we said was more psychological than an actual barrier. It was like one little gate on the road with one policeman there. It was like just showing from this point on,
It's
you're
Israel.
you're on your
It's
own.
Israel.
Yeah.
It was like from here on, it's Israel, and from here on, it's a war zone.
It's the apocalypse.
Yes, like this.
Yeah.
And a minute or two after I got there, a vehicle stopped, and someone is just throwing into the ambulance soldier. I would say miluim, I don't know. Reservist soldier, badly injured, chest trauma, 2 bullets in his hands, tension, pneumothorax. You can see someone already decompressed him on the field, but you see that he's going to need another one during the evacuation. And we're starting to evacuate him, and the dispatch tells me to go to En Karem. So I tell him, no in Karem, because there will be no patient.
And Karem is basically
Jerusalem.
in Jerusalem, which is an hour and a half drive away.
Yes. So they wanted to, I believe, to give some hospitals this patients or that, but this is one the right call for this one. So we went to Barzilai and we decompressed him again during the evacuation. Now,
this person was brought in a private car.
Yes.
We spoke about this in previous episodes. Is civilians were bringing out victims in private cars because there simply weren't any ambulances there.
Exactly. And we spoke all the way, and he was in a lot of pain. We tried to help him as much as we could. And always I'm telling me, 2 minutes we're away, 1 minute away, stay awake. And we got into Barzilai. And you know when someone is waiting for you so nicely, it means something big is going on. So they opened our doors, they received us to physicians, and you're starting to understand something bad is going on. You see all the massive casualties, tags and everything. And we're getting into the trauma room. And the minute we're getting in the site, I see 2 soldiers ventilated, intubated and ventilated. And I'm starting to tell myself, what's going on? But actually, I don't know. I don't know.
What did you know at this point?
Nothing.
You know, I think
you understood that there are terrorists at the south of Israel, or you thought only the missiles and.
You know, Elad, I think that more than anything really represents what you're saying, Sivan, really represents what this day was. Nobody knew what was going on. Even us here, you remember we spoke about this now and again, is that trying to create that picture of the map, of the heat map, of what was actually going on. It was so difficult because there was no centralized command. There wasn't
Nothing.
army. There wasn't anything organized.
But at 11 a.m., the times Sivan was at Barzilai, we already knew about a few cities and villages that we have murdered people.
Yeah, but we're not relaying that information over back and forth to
right,
everyone.
right.
Me
You
in
have
the
your
field,
mission,
nothing.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what's going on in your
I didn't know anything.
microcosmos.
Mamash. I didn't know anything. And furthermore, I had my phone in my vest, in front of my vest, and it was Shabbat. And I told myself, how much am I curious to know what's going on, and how much I really need to know. I made a deal with myself that I'm not going to open my phone. I'm going to save this Shabbat the best I can, and the Shabbat will save me. I believe this is why I came back.
That's why you're here.
And this is why you go inside, because I think that first, you're a hero, but
I'm not
second,
a hero.
I think that you didn't know how bad the situation inside.
I know, but I'm telling you that I
But
think, because I thought about it with myself again and again, that if I knew what's going on, I don't think my answer was different. I believe with all of my heart that I came to this world with a shlichut, a big shlichut.
With a
mission.
With a mission.
Oh.
One is the special kids I work with, the most damaged kids with cerebral palsy and traumatic traumas they had when they were babies. This is one of my shlichut, and the other one is my paramedic. All of my life, this is what it is.
So I'd like to, for a second, try and pull. I know it was a crazy day, and you were going back and forth doing a million things, but let's try to dive down into the evening hours, around 9.
Yeah.
9:30 p.m. Where are you at that time of the day already? You're after a whole bunch of transports, I know.
Yeah.
Where are you at 9?
At 9, we are outside of Gaza village.
Kfar Aza.
Yes, Kfar Aza. You can say Kfar Aza? It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's the name.
So Kfar Aza. At around 4 o'clock.
Kfar Aza, I'll just say that came up throughout the episodes. Kfar Aza was one of the villages that was attacked by over 300 terrorists. And some of our volunteers in the morning got trapped inside Kfar Aza treating the victims. And only at 4 p.m. was the military able to take some control of the area there and secure some sort of evacuation route from the gate. I think, Sivan, if I'm not mistaken, you were on the first group of the 5 ambulances that made it to Kfar Aza at around 4:30 in the afternoon.
Exactly. At around that time, we understood that there is a lot of casualties, soldiers and civilians inside of Kfar Aza, and that there is no one to evacuate them. And despite the risk, we decided to get in a row of ambulances. I remember I thought, where is it good to sit? In front and see where someone's going to kill me, or in the back that no one would know I'm there. This was the way I was thinking.
No one mentioned it till now.
Wow.
I thought about it. Do I want to see it coming, or am I going to be on the back? And before we went to the road 232, Kvish 232.
Yeah, road 232.
Yes, Chaim Attias, who was the driver, he tells me, Sivan, be prepared. And I'm telling him, Chaim, all that day, is there more? So he tells me, trust me. Second time that day, a man was right. He was right.
You see, we're not always wrong.
Yeah, not always. And he was right.
Most of the time.
Yeah, 232 was one of,
Was the apocalypse road.
yeah.
Death Road.
I don't know
Death
if
road.
someone, I
Death
believe
road.
someone described it before
Yes,
me.
yes. Everyone before you
Yeah,
on
they
this day
said-
described 232, which was the route of death. Hundreds of people that were killed along that route.
I saw it like a story that you can tell from the road. You can see every person who died, who was murdered, where they were going to. One came back from a bike trip. One family went to the beach because they had, a picnic basket. You saw the boosters of the kids full with blood. You saw cars that they were burned to the ground with an RPG. People still standing inside. And you are going with the ambulance like this. I'm shaking.
Swerving, yeah.
Around, just not to cross on any one of them. And then we got to Gaza, to Kfar Aza. We were there from 4 o'clock, 4:30, until I was there until 2:30 in the morning, something like that. We treated, I don't know, maybe hundreds of
Not maybe. Hundreds.
you're not counting. You're just getting one. You just screen on him. He can go with the regular. He needs the
Advanced life
intensive.
support, intensive
He's going
care.
to the
Helicopter.
to the choppers. At some point, it was like I'm in a movie, an action movie. Choppers are landing. Choppers are going up on the sky. Soldiers are saying. The chopper is, I don't say, uyam is an...
Threatened.
Yeah, chopper is threatened. You have 30 seconds to get the injured man into the chopper. And one after another.
So you're talking about the helicopters and bringing the victims, the hundreds of the victims to the helicopters. I'm going to put on a video now for those watching to understand what Sivan is talking about, with the helicopters taking off and landing, and while missiles are still going off in the sky. And I think, Sivan, you'll connect to this as well, is that at a certain point, and everyone mentioned this throughout the day, at the beginning you would still lay down on the ground when there was a missile attack. At a certain point, you just are oblivious to it already.
Yes.
You just continue working. So I'll just put on this. This is one of the dozens of IDF 669 helicopters, the airborne rescue unit, that were evacuated alongside with the United Hatzalah helicopters that were going up and down from there as well in this staging area. What they were doing is, Sivan, you had the 5 ambulances there that were going in and out.
Yes.
And being the exclusive transport unit out of Kfar Aza, both for civilians and for soldiers.
Yes, exactly.
And you can see in this video that's playing, while they're uploading the victim to the helicopter for transport out, you'll see in a second a massive barrage of missiles in the background going off in the air while they're trying to take some shelter. Now, this is in the areas there are no air raid sirens even going off. It's just...
There's no sirens, there is a boom, and that's it. There is
Exactly.
no the Tseva Adom over there.
Yeah,
There is only a boom after.
Yeah,
I'm over there.
I know. That's why I showed it.
Okay.
You know, I think the Elad and me were talking about this earlier today. It was the hardest thing for us, besides decision making and whatever, was being here and not being out there. Because as
I heard you
paramedics,
on the first chapter.
as paramedics, we want to be out there. We want to be in the field doing what you were doing there. And you know, we're watching these things live through the cameras on the ambulances. Your ambulance had a camera on it.
Oh.
And we were watching. We had the screens open here.
Online?
Online.
I didn't know that.
You didn't even know that?
No.
Oh, seriously?
No.
So the ambulances, we were getting live when you were talking about David Badil. We were feeding live. We were seeing everything that you were seeing.
Oh my God.
From the ambulance cameras, from the body cameras. We're watching them live here, which it was helping us understand and helping us make the decisions from here as to divert units to here or to there. And we were living what was going on down there with you, literally.
But I think it was good that you were here, because if everyone was there, no one could have made the right calls for us. So thank you.
I agree. So I mean, it eats me up to today. That's the honest truth.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
But you know, Dovie,
We had to sit over our hands. It's like your hand is tied and you can't do whatever all your life they teach you to do it, but now you can't.
So
but I believe, pardon me, Dovie,
yeah, go ahead.
that all of us, we are exactly where we should be at the time we should be.
Hashlichut.
When you accept it,
mission.
when you accept it, it releases a lot of burden from your shoulders, that you know that even if something happened and you didn't hear the phone or the call or something, or like this, you were here. This is what you were exactly supposed to do that day. So.
And we're not done with this day. This day is still going on, and we're moving into the night. And Sivan and the rest of the volunteers you're transporting one patient after another, saving endless lives there, literally. And I think there was one very famous. This one actually went public because it's one of those pictures that I think this was around 1 or 2 in the morning.
No.
What time was it?
The twins?
Yeah.
8:00.
At 8 it was? Okay.
8:30. I tell you why, because we wanted to do Havdalah. And one of the paramedics from the army pulled the psamim and the light and everything. And the minute you wanted...
Havdalah, for our listeners that aren't observant Jews, is a small prayer that you do at the end of the Shabbat and the end of the Sabbath.
Yes.
When after sundown, where you sanctify the wine and the light of the fire of the candle, and you smell
something good.
Something good that gives you the breath of fresh air for
Yes.
starting the new week.
Yeah, so we wanted to do that, but at that minute, someone started screaming that a tiger is coming, which is military vehicle.
Armed vehicle.
Armed vehicle, yes. And from that namer in Hebrew, coming Tomer Greenberg, Hashem Yikom Damo.
Tomer Greenberg was a senior officer, a commander of the elite units that was fighting from Golani. And they were fighting in Kfar Aza throughout the day.
Yeah, and he told us, can you handle this? And Chaim, Attias told him, we can handle everything. And he's coming with 2 small babies on his hand. And the first thing I told him is, as a mother, where are their parents? And he tells me they were murdered that morning, around 6:30, maybe 7. He told us that the terrorists put them as a bait in the house. They knew that all of our soldiers would like to get them out of there. They put a sniper on the roof, the terrorists, and shot many soldiers who tried to rescue those babies. In the end, Tomer and his division succeeded to do that, and they brought them to us. Tomer died, unfortunately.
Died at combat.
In combat, a few days later.
No, not a few days
A few
later.
months later.
No, it was a few months later.
On the day the babies celebrated 1
Birthday.
year,
Wow.
Tomer
Was killed.
Nafal was killed
In combat.
in Gaza. And we took them. They were amazing. And they didn't even cry at that point, because obviously they cried all day. Soldiers before changed them diapers and gave them some water. We just checked them out. We saw their whole, changed again diaper, gave them some water. And then we evacuated them to Soroka.
Such a tough day.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. And I can't believe that's even a year later.
Yes, but I have to say something about this exact event, this one was one of the highlights of that day. Because seeing those babies in Tomer's hands made me realize why I left my own kids at home. Why all of us ran to the fire to save other Jews. Because they are our future. So when I was there, it was the best thing out of that day that Ro'i and Guy, they're alive, they're amazing. I'm speaking with their grandma once in a while. She shows me a picture. She says a big tragedy happened to them, but they are the power of life, those kids. We thank God they survived.
Wow. I think we'll take a short break to take a deep breath, and we'll show the video of it shows the pictures, and it also shows you and the team there when the babies are brought over to you, and then meeting the family.
Still had fire going on, getting bullets on the ambulance itself. We were in contact with the IDF, and they told us to come to Kfar Aza to give them help, medical assistance. He came out with 2 babies in his hand, and he gave it over to me, one of the babies, and the other baby for my colleague. The babies were just screaming, and they were dehydrated. And when he gave me over the baby caught on so hard to me. He felt he was in safe hands. It was so emotional. It's an expression you can't even express.
זה שלום, מנתן 40. אנחנו נמצאים פה בכפר עזה. צה"ל הוציא לנו 2 תינוקות, בני 10 חודשים תאומים, בריאים ושלמים. צריך לדעת מה לעשות איתם, לפנות אותם לבית חולים.
איפה ההורים שלהם?
ההורים שלהם נרצחו. בשטח מסוכן פה, יש פה אש כל הזמן.
טוב, תקשיב רגע, קח אותם לבית חולים, אין לי משהו אחר יותר מזה לעשות. מה אתם נותנים להם לאכול?
לשתות מים.
לשתות מים, סבבה, רק מים, אל תיתנו להם תמלים או משהו גם, כי יכול להיות שהם רגישים או כל מיני כאלה דברים.
Never in my life. I couldn't even imagine such a thing in my life. It's the worst thing that ever happened to me. They told us to bring them down to Soroka Hospital in Beersheba. What the soldier told us when he gave over the babies, he told us that the parents are not with them anymore.
כל המשוגעים האלה, אפשר לומר שהם משוגעים, שאלו אותנו אם להיכנס או לא. אנחנו במוקד אמרנו לו, אם אתם מרגישים שאתם רוצים להיכנס, תכנסו. אנחנו מרגישים חלק מהמשפחה שלכם. מה שאנחנו יכולים לעשות, לעזור.
באנו למסור את הנפש ולהציל כמה שיותר.
Sivan, you were telling me as we were just sitting down now to tape this podcast that something that had to do with this story.
Yes. I'm going to meet with the grandma tonight. Actually, I'm in touch with a few of the casualties. We succeeded to be good shlichim and help them. It's what gives us the power to go on. The knowledge that you helped someone in need and they're alive.
Wow. It's just, going back to that day, and then, we in Israel, for many years, we have our Independence Day, but the day before is Memorial Day. And Memorial Day in Israel is, I think for all of us, a very significant day that bears a lot of weight. I found myself last night, October 7th Eve, and they're having all the shows. This was past midnight, and they're showing different clips and shows and stories of those who've fallen. And I suddenly got that very strong sensation of, Independence Day and Memorial Day here are after Passover, right before the summer celebrations. And suddenly I got this strong sensation of another Memorial Day. And I was telling myself, why is Memorial Day happening between
Rosh
Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, between the high holidays, it just doesn't fit in.
It doesn't fit
I think it connects to our trauma.
Yes.
To our trauma. And I connect to what you're saying because you went on until 3 a.m, 2:30, 3 a.m. Is there another? I mean, nothing can top that because that's a high. It really is a high. But from your perspective, being a paramedic, and you've 25 years in the field, maybe even more.
It's okay with 25. We'll stay with that. Don't give them my age.
We started at 5 years old.
Something like that. Of course,
we started
yes.
5 years old.
I think maybe 2.
Yeah. Okay, 2. I stand correct. I was 5.
Yes.
So, with all this experience, I know that for me, seeing everything I've seen, nothing ever prepared us for something like this.
Nothing.
Try to share just a few points from, as a paramedic, and in Israel, paramedic is the scene commander. In Israel, the paramedic is the mission leader in the field, as opposed to in other places, maybe the fire department or what sort of challenges, what's the word for it, considerations, difficulties did you find in the field and an incident of such scale, of such magnitude?
I think the first one was when we got into Sderot. It was around 1:00. Quite quickly, I realized that there is no one alive out there. And the sights we started seeing one after another, like you see a vehicle flipped over because someone shot him during he was driving. And you see a man when he was walking to the synagogue wrapped in his talit, murdered on the ground. And then we stopped in the middle of the road and we saw a bus station with 12 bodies.
The senior citizens.
Yes. And it's all that day, you see things, but you don't understand what you're seeing. This is what I realized after. It was like they are waiting for the bus to come.
You're telling yourself a story.
You're telling the story. There's a story
Until
behind.
today, I'm telling myself, Sivan, you just saw an episode of SEAL Team, something like that. This wasn't a real part of your life. And at that point, I realized that if we will continue watching those horrors, me and my team won't be the same persons after we come back from here. And the safety of my team, my mental safety first, was so important that I told my team that no one's going out of the ambulance unless someone is alive out there and need us. We are stopping to look for or to watch whatever it is. Someone is alive, we're going to treat them. And we realize that there is no one over there alive. And we went to the next station. So this is the first time. The second time was when we were outside of Shuva.
Shuva is where, in the previous episode with Dr. Gensler, who was managing the staging area, the triage area in Shuva.
Exactly. So at the first time, they want us to get into Shuva and evacuate casualties from there. But we knew there is a live shooting up. And I told that my team and the driver that I'm not going to get in. I'm going to come back to my kids, and my team is going to come back to their family, whole and safe. And I know that maybe someone else would have gone inside, but my safety and my team's safety is first. And then we got the casualties and we treated them and we evacuated them. But this one was another point that I had to step up and tell people I'm not going in.
But bear in mind, even just getting to Shuva was beyond the you're in the hot zone.
Yes, a hot zone.
Literally.
A hot zone in a way that when we were waiting for the casualties, suddenly started Tseva Adom.
The air raid sirens.
Yes, I didn't even know what Tseva Adom is in language.
Red alert.
Because I'm irregular to sirens. And someone tells me, Sivan, go on the ground, put your hands on your head, and just say Shema Israel. And while I'm doing that, someone is shouting that on the hill above us, there is terrorists. And soldiers are going up on the hill, and there is a gunshot. I'd say, Khilufesh.
It's in the battlefield.
Exactly.
Crossfire.
Yes, crossfire. And Shema Israel again. And that was the point that you, as you said, you realize that you're in the middle of a battlefield. I believe those decisions was much more than the medical decisions for me. Not that I'm a hotshot paramedic, because I think that the soul of us is not less important than the body.
I agree. And actually in the next episode, we're going to have Avi and Avi Marcus and Dr. Sharon Slater talking exactly about the aftermath and the psychotrauma unit and how they treated over 1,800 volunteers in the aftermath of this incident. So wow, and the battle went on.
Yes.
The battle went on.
Yes, it was. After we treated the twins, we had another soldier that went into my heart. He was 20 years old. His vehicle was injured from a missile. He was lying on the battlefield for 3 hours when his arm almost amputated. And when we received him, he was in the last drop of his blood. We put him on the chopper with no blood pressure, highly tachycardic, and losing consciousness. I was sure he won't survive. And after I came back from that day, I looked for his name on the deads. But I couldn't find his name. So he's obviously alive. And because I'm a physical therapist, someone with that kind of amputation, he will need physical therapy. The thinking that I saw him on the field and I'm telling myself, oh my God, what a rehabilitation is waiting for him if he will survive. And then I asked all of my friends, physical therapists, to look for a soldier who lost his arm and is called by his name. And after 2 days, someone's called me, I found your soldier.
Wow.
He's alive. And I asked her to ask him if it's okay to come and visit him. And he said, of course. And I went to Tel Shomer and I met with him. And his parents, they just jumped on me and kissed me and hugged me and something that I was overwhelmed. And he was on his legs, speaking, eating, no arm.
But alive.
Alive.
Wow.
And now he's in rehabilitation in the US for a special prosthetic, like bionic something. And I hope he will succeed.
Wow. You know, it's on such a horrific day, with so much tragedy and death. We're every day that goes by, and I speak to another volunteer, and every day, it's been a year, and every day I hear another story. Another story. I mean, we have documented, Elad, what is it? We have 500, 600 documented transports within private cars, ambulances. And we know that we have hundreds of others that are undocumented from this day because the nature of the day. It was apocalyptic.
Our ambulances are the most ambulances that
Almost the only ambulances that were there.
That take all the casualties to the helicopters. So
to the helicopters, out of the hot zones to the cold zones where they could be transferred to other ambulances.
Yes.
Yeah, they were the only ones like you under fire,
so
going in and out, and
hundreds of people owe us.
That's hundreds of stories, and every day I hear another story, and even here while recording the podcast, I mean, you guys remember stories that come out as we go on without preparing, and untold stories, and I think it'll be for years to come because at the end of the day, so many people were.
I don't think there is enough days to tell those stories.
But when we thought that we heard everything, you are still surprising us. You and Dr. Gensler and Avi and Liad and all of our team that
Chezi
were here,
and Rachel,
Chezi,
everyone.
all the people that we met here tell us few things that we didn't know. Of course, we didn't know when we were here at the headquarters, but
Not a year after.
we still didn't hear it till now, 1 year after, because there are a lot of stories. Each team member
His own.
is a lot of stories, brave stories, people that he saved their life, like you said, and it's unbelievable that we had, I don't know, more than 1,000 volunteers that was at this day, October 7th, and no volunteers that we sent inside get injured.
Yeah. It was miraculous.
Unbelievable.
It was miraculous. There's no other way.
We had Kippat Barzel.
We had the Iron Dome of faith of our Father above.
הקדוש ברוך הוא שמר עלינו חד משמעית.
Of course.
And Sivan, you were there till 2:30, and if we move on into the night, we're looking at transports that went on through the night. I mean, at 3:44, I think in the morning was the ambulance, and there was Soroka, that our helicopter
with a gunshot wounded the face
to the face, and he wasn't going to make it. We had our helicopter chase.
This one, I think I treated him before he went into the chopper.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he was a soldier with a gunshot wound in his jaw.
Right. So he was heading to Soroka. Yeah.
So
we had the helicopter chase him and meet him in the middle of the way because he said he's not going to make it to Soroka alive. The helicopter literally landed in the middle of the road.
I didn't know that until
there.
now.
So
I sent this soldier to the helicopter.
Unbelievable.
We fought on him.
Yeah.
When I finished this I don't want to call it a case, but
this case,
I sat on the floor of the ambulance. There is a step when you go up to the ambulance, and I felt that I don't have any more power after that soldier.
Yeah, like someone drained her.
I was drained. I put my hands on my head. I remember it. And all of the soldiers I evacuated, I ran with them to the chopper. And when I was running, I'm telling myself, Sivan, don't fall. Sivan, don't fall. Because if you fall, the patient is going to fall with you. And you're in a field and with grass and kotzim.
It's a plowed field.
Yeah, I don't know what else. And there is borot, holes and everything. And just don't fall. But after this case, I felt that I cannot move anymore. I just sat on the step.
Battery hit 0.
Like this. And I told myself, okay, breathe in, relax. I'm going to go to the next one. But then my son, my 14-year-old son, he texted me, I think since 11, Mommy, are you okay? Mommy this, Mommy that. And I couldn't even answer him during all of that. And then he sent me a message, Mommy, please promise me you're going to come back alive. And when my son wrote me that message, I have to say, and I'm not proud of it, it was the first time I thought of my own kids at that day.
It hit you.
It hit me. I was so centered in that day, from trauma to trauma, and I felt so bad. How didn't you think of them? And I'm telling that because when I told that to Hosen, who helped me,
psychotrauma unit.
Yeah, psychotrauma unit, to help me breathe again, she told me this was the defense. I would say the
mechanism.
Yes, of me, that I will be able to continue and do what I do. No, it was like a mangan agana.
No, it was a defense, a protective mechanism.
She told me that this is what I do when I need to save lives, because we need to be in the zone to do what we know to do best. But if I will think about my family, I won't be able to do it. So this was the point that I told myself, Sivan, you have kids at home, you have to go back to them.
Wow.
Yes.
But you saved a lot of life.
I was a shlicha tova of Kadosh Baruch Hu to saving lives. I really believe, and it's very important for me to say, we are not saving lives and we are not taking lives. We are shlichim, chachmat players. I don't know how you say
Chess players.
Chess players.
Chess players in a bigger game.
Yes, of the game of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And he puts me wherever he needs me. You go there, you go there. I'm not saving, I'm not taking anyone's life. I'm just a good shlicha. That's it.
Indeed. And one of many. And moving into the night, I mean, you went back to your kids.
Yes, I wanted to go back, but no one gave me to go back. Because when we went into Tzomet Cheletz, again, casualties came all over, and the choppers landed again, and we had to put the victims inside. And only at, I think, 3.5, I really felt that I need to go there. That's it. I finished the day.
Unbelievable. I mean, and a short while after that, I don't know, you probably heard the stories afterwards, was coming out of Be'eri. Special forces were operating there throughout the night. And besides pulling out, human victims, one of the canine unit, dog unit from the tactic forces came out. And, well, the soldiers were being treated, and they came out, one of the dogs, which was fighting the terrorists there, was shot. And the soldier, his handler, was injured, and he came with the dog. They're both injured, and he insisted
the dog will be treated
the dog
first.
will be treated first.
I knew.
And Yechiel, our volunteer, Yechiel Grafine, was there. So he took the dog and put him into another ambulance that was on the side there as a staging. And he treated the dog. And they both, the handler and
the dog is alive?
Both survived. And then Yechiel decided to... He was so taken by it that he decided to go and learn how to become a therapist with animals. And a short video they'll put on that actually tells his short story of Be'eri.
Yechiel is a volunteer of United Hatzalah. He saved many lives October 7th. He was in Be'eri, he was in Kfar Aza, he was in Sderot, and he saved many, many lives. And after the trauma he went through, he decided to join the psychotrauma unit of United Hatzalah. And we have a special dog unit. So he decided that he is going to be treating people through the dog unit of United Hatzalah. And he adopted this little cute dog who's 3 months old today. This little dog is called Be'eri. And Be'eri was born October 7th. And Be'eri is going to join the psychotrauma unit of United Hatzalah. She needs a lot of training. She's going to go through how many months of training?
Almost 2 years.
2 years of training, so she could treat people and help them with their emotional trauma, with so many people go through. We have a dog unit now, and Be'eri is going to join and be an incredible addition to our United Hatzalah psychotrauma. Hey Be'eri, you better behave in front of the cameras. And she's very cute, but she's going to get very big. And what is she? What kind of breed?
She's a golden retriever.
She's a golden retriever, and she's going to save many lives.
And that's Yechiel. That besides saving the people, we were also able to take part and even take it forward to treating in the psychotrauma unit using these dogs. And like I said, this just went on. And at 5 a.m, where you were in Kfar Aza for many hours, started another wave because the patients were coming out in waves. Remember, as they were liberating different parts of the village, they would bring out the families and the injured and the soldiers, and they'd come out in waves. And at 5:05 a.m, another wave of victims were coming out and treated there. And some of them were brought to triage area at Shuva, and others were sent up to Cheletz. And from there on to hospitals or to the helicopters, and from there on to hospitals in central Israel, because the hospitals at this point were overwhelmed with thousands of victims.
I saw that, Dovie, when we went into Soroka in one of the evacuations, and was one of the points that we still didn't have the whole picture. We evacuated 2 soldiers from Shuva, and both are thinking they are alone. And the terrorists, they just harmed Shuva. And they're telling us, he's getting into the ambulance. I'm telling him, did you phone your parents? And he's telling me, no way. All morning they're phoning me, but I'm in a battlefield. I'm shooting, I'm fighting.
They had no idea.
No idea. So I'm telling him, you're going to call them now. And he's telling me, they won't answer me. It's Shabbat. I'm telling him, Atan, your parents think you are dead. And he's phoning them. And it didn't even ring, half ring. And the father is answering, crying. Matan, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's telling me, Daddy, I'm fine. I promise you. Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm okay. And then Matan says to him, Daddy, stop messing around. I just called you to say, I'm fine. Don't worry, I'm fine. And they thought they're alone. Every place we came,
Every place thought that
he
they
thought
were
it's only him.
It's fighting
Kfar
alone.
Not
Aza,
only that,
yeah.
not only were the soldiers, but in one of the early episodes, Chaim Sassi, our own volunteer from Sderot, when he actually shot and killed a terrorist and got on the radio at 7:30 in the morning and said, the incident is over.
Oh
The
my God.
terrorist was killed. Nobody knew.
Exactly.
They all thought, actually, oddly enough, we're the only ones who knew. Elad.
Right.
You, me, and the people here in dispatch
Because
behind
we
us,
saw the whole picture.
We were seeing the big picture, but every team could only understand what was
Exactly,
going
but
on.
only because I went into few series, I knew
Right.
one and another and the third one, what is going on. When we went into Soroka, there was not even one brick of floor that someone wasn't standing, bleeding, shouting, screaming, and you just slowly understand how big this is. Someone from the party. I didn't even know about the party until that time. And then you see a soldier and a civilian and everyone slowly getting into the picture.
And as the hours went by, sunrise, and in most of the areas were already cleared, but Kfar Aza
No.
and Be'eri, the battle kept going.
In Kfar Aza, I came back the day after. And on 4 o'clock at Sunday, we received two very old men and a woman. They looked like Holocaust survivors. They were just with their underwear and like a t-shirt. No food, no drinks.
36 hours.
More than 36 hours, I believe. They were both diabetic and hypoglycemic. And they looked like someone pulled them out of the Holocaust.
Wow. And I think this is where we're coming to a wrap. I don't know how we could even wrap such a day.
We're still
like
living.
we said-
We're still living it.
First of all, we're still living it a year later.
Yes, we are.
We're still at war. And the stories, like I said, will be told. We all said this. We all agree that you said, Sivan, there aren't enough days, and won't be enough days to tell the stories.
Yes.
And just like we were raised on the stories of our parents of the Yom Kippur War, our children and grandchildren will be living on the stories of October 7th. And I think that at least we have the privilege, and I'm humbled to say this, of telling the stories of how so many people were saved. How so many people were saved because of people like you, Sivan, and because of 1,500 others that are just regular people of Israel that decided to do this. And our episode here, I mean, as far as the timeline, is it ends at 6 p.m. on Sunday. But like I said, and like Elad said, and you, we're still living this a year later. So I want to thank you, Sivan, so much for, first and foremost, for what you did on October 7th, for what you do throughout your life and career. And
It was my privilege, Dovie, Bemet. I believe it.
and
with all of
for
my
coming
heart.
here to share with everyone. And on that note, I want to invite you to join us for our next episode of October 7th, which will be talking about psychotrauma and dealing with the aftermath emotionally of the thousands of volunteers that responded on this day. Subscribe to the podcast. We're on all the platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Share, and I hope you enjoyed it. Recapping this is, once again, on something on scale like this is unfathomable, but training, lessons learned, implementing will save lives. Thank you. Thank you, Sivan.
Thank you.
Thank you.